Oh, yeah. Hello. Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the party.
Welcome to the madhouse.
Oh, my God. Yes, it is getting crazier and crazier as we go along. We are live on Instagram. We are live on YouTube. And
Yay!
to our crazy party. Isn't it fun, Juliet? I mean, honestly, isn't it?
It is. It's always fun. We always find something a little bit interesting, a little bit weird, because that's who we are. Yeah, that's right. Stop messaging me, people. No, we're good.
Yeah.
I was really interested in like the Mothman stuff and what I found out. So yeah, this Mothman's been kind of sighted before West Virginia, is it?
Oh, the plot thickens.
The plot thickens, and I have pictures to go with it.
Oh my God, I love pictures. I love them. So, okay, quick reminder, we are live on Instagram, but we are also live over on YouTube at Cryptid Women's Society. So if you want to jump on YouTube, you can then put comments in and we can actually see those come up in real time. There is a solid lag on the Instagram side of stuff. So jump on over to YouTube at Cryptid Women's Society and you'll see these amazing t-shirts we've got going on right here. Oh yeah, I like your t-shirt. Yours is good. I like this one too.
Yeah, I like that one.
But yeah, so today is going to be super fun. This is our last live before Juliet gets her way over to Egypt for the world's most exciting adventure for 2 weeks. We don't know if we're going to be able to get together and do our lives normally, but I will endeavor to maintain.
You keep freezing. You're freezing. Oh, you're freezing. She's like, damn
it. I'm not freezing to me. But we'll endeavor to keep doing our lives at the normal time. I think I've got a couple of guests that are going to join us on our lives, which will be pretty cool. And we're talking cryptids and fun stuff coming up. I think we've got the Hodag and Lake Champlain monster. So Champ, which is going to be pretty cool.
I will see if I can click in. I think for me it is something like, what's the time now over in Egypt? It's like midnight, 12.
Yeah. It's like 12 hours or something.
Yeah.
I just spoke to our amazing social media, beautiful, phenomenal woman over in Cairo. Her name is Ashrakat. And I just had the coolest meeting with her. If you love our Instagram posts and our social media reels, we have to thank Ash and say, whoop, whoop, Ash.
You're beautiful.
Yeah.
And I get to meet her, which is going to be so freaking amazing. That is just going to be beautiful.
Yeah. So that she is very excited to have Juliet come over and just spend a little bit of time and kind of connect the energy. So, and I tell you what, it's going to be our anniversary in December. We worked out it's going to be a year that we've been working with Ash.
Wow!
So,
all right, that's coming up fast. This whole year has like completely disappeared, and next year is just going to be a whirlwind as well. We have some pretty cool stuff coming up. Some things in the background we're working on that we're super excited about. Yeah, Lisa's like, I can't contain myself. And we have to sign a disclosure to not talk about it, which is very hard.
I just sat there and went, do not tell anyone. And I was like, just one person, just one more person. I was like, no. Very exciting.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Can we give a high five out to Susie Monster, who's over on YouTube right now? She says, hello, everyone. Love the shirts. Love you, Miss Susie girl. Thanks for joining us, Miss. And hey, Jules, what's going on in the world of you?
It's just been crazy. I have got to get my bags packed, which I haven't even started. Me and all my, thinking that I was going to be really smart, thought I'd probably work, you know, right up until when I left, and that was probably like the worst idea because I've left myself one day to basically sort everything out. So I'm like, it's a little bit panicky right now.
This is what she does, right?
Everything's in my room somewhere. I'm pretty sure of it. So
every time. This is what she does.
I'll pack like the morning before or like 2 hours before. But yeah, as long as all my clothes are clean, I don't care. I will just,
All you need is a pair of undies, a pair of socks, maybe.
And my son is way too tall, so I cannot wear his clothes.
Yeah. So 2 weeks.
Taking a backpack. He's like, oh, I'm like, where's your suitcase? He goes, oh, I'm just bringing a backpack. I'm like, boys have got it so easy. I'm just like, I've just got to stand to that 25 kilos.
Stand at 25 kilos, baby.
Bring that 25 kilos.
Well, and less than 25 because you've got to bring stuff home. You were going to run a bring.
I think he's booked a 25 as well. So I'll just make him buy a suitcase and then we can bring stuff back. What's in there? Tutankhamun's head.
or his willy. We found it.
Camel milk. I milked it myself.
Oh wow!
No, it's been really interesting because everyone's kind of freaking out a little bit because we're going over because of the few issues and stuff going over there. But Egypt's pretty safe. I mean, nobody's ever 100% safe, but it doesn't matter where you are. You're never 100% safe. But we're pretty. Yeah, we're just going to watch what we're doing and we'll be careful and stuff.
Oh,
so
you have the most amazing.
Oh yeah.
Amazing time. I think every single person that we know and that's connected to us at Cryptid Women's Society wants to go to Egypt. That's just part of what's on the bucket list, right?
Yeah. I think it's everybody's like, it's funny because I've had a couple of people going, oh, I went there and I've done this and done that, and oh my god, I just wish I could go back and stay there. And so super excited. So don't know what the Wi-Fi and stuff's going to be like, so it might be kind of pre-recorded stuff, but if we could do a live, from in front of the pyramid or something like that, that would be pretty cool. Obviously not down when we're in the tombs and that kind of stuff. That will be pretty I don't think we're allowed our phones in a lot of them either, so
definitely any opportunity you get be amazing.
Yeah. Going down the Nile, trying to catch a crocodile.
Do I keep freezing on this?
Yeah, you're freezing again.
Okay, I'm going to take you guys to the sitting room, and I'm sorry about having to shift here, but it's the only way to stop me from freezing myself because I can see me freezing on Instagram.
Yeah. Or just freezing. What's your weather like over there? We've got 26 degrees today.
It is absolutely beautiful. There is no reason for me to freeze and look like that on Instagram right now. Oh my god!
You had some old duck lips going on there for a minute.
Oh wow! Yes. Jeepers! We'll just move closer to the router, okay? Closer to the router we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is better. My apologies to everyone for my shitty internet. There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
So hopefully this just picks up a little bit better now that I'm close to the router. Anyway, let's get into it. Hopefully the audio is better now and we can get everything kind of kicking along. Mothman is one of my favorite cryptids. I think he's one of everyone's favorite cryptids. We just have this real love for Mothman, right? And I just kind of thought, well, if we're going to love Mothman, why don't we love the Ahool bat just as much? Because he's pretty freaking cool as well. And he is in our backyard, right? He is down in the South Pacific. He flies around in Java, which is on the Indonesian island. And, he plays with orangutans.
Have you got a picture? Did you put a picture?
Well, let me introduce you to I don't
You're
have,
you're now lagging a little bit behind. She's like, "Ma."
I just can't freaking win. No,
She's like, put a picture up, it's fine.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying my best. Here comes one. Bear with me, team. I'm in New Zealand at the arse end of the world. Good luck, son. I love you. My son is going to do a job interview right now.
Hey, Hunter. Good luck.
Love you, babe. Okay, honey. Thank you. I'm just trying to put my picture up, but basically, let me tell you about the Ahool bat. Do you want me to start, by the way?
Go. You've already started.
Oh, I've already started. Get on in here.
Get on in there. Go on, do it.
So the reason why, oh, there he is.
Here we go. Here comes the picture.
Why, the reason why his name is the Ahool, Ahool, is because of the sound he makes. So he's named after his call, Ahool, as far as bats go, which is quite interesting because there's a lot of theories wrapped around the Ahool bat and his sightings, with the basis of maybe that Ahool sound is in fact an owl.
Oh, okay.
Right. So so I kind of went down this little rabbit hole around, okay, this is a giant, 12-foot wide wingspan bat of sorts, but could it have been a misidentification? Or, when you see things flying over you, you tend to exaggerate because of the height difference and that sort of stuff. Maybe he was only 4 foot wide.
Don't shorter the little dude. He's probably got a complex now. He's like, excuse me, my wings are 12 foot long.
Gosh darn it, I do have giant wings. And so I kind of went down that path to see whether or not there were any kind of options that could fit that space. So I've got another picture for you. This, my friend, is Java. So Java is one of the most amazing countries of Indonesia that you can go to. Look at the volcanoes.
It's just pure volcanic, isn't it? It's just
100%. Yeah, and then it's
insane. I didn't realize it looked like that.
Yeah, and then it's rainforest, so it's crazy. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Could you imagine? And this was taken by somebody standing on the side of a ridge.
Yeah,
at that altitude. Pretty mental, eh?
Oh, I would not want to go tramping through there. Please, let's not do any expeditions.
Oh no,
I do not want to go looking for an Ahool bat.
We're totally going to look for the Ahool bat. 100%.
That looks like way too much effort.
Susie says, "I like him. He's pretty." Yeah, girl, you got it. So this is where Java is. I'll just pop a picture up there. We'll just wait for Instagram to catch up. So Java is on the tiny islands of Indonesia. And when I say tiny, I mean really tiny. Australia's at the bottom there where Juliet is. And you can see Papua New Guinea over to the east coast there. And Java is little. It's a little place, but you can see kind of around that areas where the orangutans are and all of that sort of stuff. So it's a pretty remote as far as islands go. And this is what the rainforest looks like. I just wanted to give you a really good idea of kind of what this creature is said to occupy and live in, and the space around that.
Yeah, and also, the islands that we're dealing with, we're not just like a big landmass. There are thousands and thousands of islands where all these stories come from. So
yeah,
look how beautiful that is.
It's beautiful, right? And as soon as you go up kind of northern Australia and then a little bit higher up than that, this is what it is. It's rainforest.
Beautiful rainforest, yeah.
And that's why you get all of these weird kind of cryptid stories coming out about these creatures that are inhabiting these spaces, because people haven't stepped foot here. before. You know, the only people that have been there are the locals, are the natives, and they know it like the back of their hand. And there's places that they haven't been because their tribes don't live in those places or whatever else. And so as far as Westerners going there, it's super, super remote. Yeah, absolutely. I've got
It's
one
called
more
the virgin ground, isn't it? There's just area, you know, it's like we were talking yesterday, it's very, very similar to the Fiordlands down the South Island.
Yes.
It's like there is just land down there that hasn't been touched.
100%. There's land down in the southern New Zealand, and then northern as well in the Uruwetas, where there's tribes that go up and around that sort of area, but it's so dense they don't go through.
Yeah.
You know, so check this out. This is a beautiful picture with the mountain behind, and then an amazing waterfall. It's really similar to Samoa. Like you see the photos of Samoa and that sort of stuff in the Pacific Islands. They're all very, very similar as far as, you know, the volcanic energy underneath it, producing this amazingly lush green beautifulness. Clown Official says, "What the F?" It's beautiful, right? Look at it. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize, you know, they just think of the little islands as just being all sand, and you know, or, you know, it's like people will come over here and expect it to be like warm all the time. It's like, no, we get cold here. We have snow here as well. You know? We're not hot islands all the time. Yeah.
So you can totally imagine, right? If you take this photo, for example, imagine a giant 12-foot wide bat or something flying around. Would that not scare the living crap out of you?
Yeah. And that's it. Look at that land. It's so thick, so dense. Who's going to see it? Who's going to be out there? And when they are, you know, it's probably the locals or, So what do you think the Ahool bat could be? Is that what you're going to go into? Is there other ideas of what you think he could be? Well, I have one idea.
I got a few connections, but let me just read the Instagram messages real quick. So Clown Official says, the world's only bona fide hype clown. Love you, man. Psychedelic journey outside the body, the spirit walk. And so it's real interesting that you bring up things like the spirit walk and that sort of stuff. I was talking to our friend over in Papua New Guinea the other day, and he was talking about how creatures, we call them cryptids, but, you know, like just creatures that science has yet to prove their existence of, or bring them back from being extinct or being said that they were extinct. He's talking about the rituals that they have to do around searching for these animals, around seeing these animals and connecting with them. And he was like, there's a lot of spiritual connection that you have to do and rituals that you have to do to see these creatures. And with Juliet saying things like, what do you actually think it is? There are theories that connect the Ahool bat in Java to the ropin in Papua New Guinea. And that's what he was talking about in regards to doing these rituals, doing these spiritual things to connect to these creatures because they're seen as spiritual creatures.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, there's still and for those who don't understand what the ropin is, it's basically a little mini pterodactyl.
Yes.
You know, it's a living dinosaur. It's still been seen. It's still sighted in Papua New Guinea, and by many people, these little ropin have been seen. So it's pretty amazing. So, you know, what's to say that there's not a bigger version that's flying around? Absolutely.
100%. So, well, let me just give you a little kind of rundown on what the Ahool bat looks like from sightings and that sort of stuff, and give you a little bit of background, and feel free to jump on in here and give me your ideas and your theories.
My opinion.
My opinion is relevant. So the stories go that the Ahool bat is a cryptid that hunts for large fish, basically feeds on large fish. It's been seen by locals, and not many stories given. You can't find much information on it. But when you start kind of digging a little bit deeper, you do get a couple of stories from locals, i.e. native tribes, saying that the Ahool bat hunts on fish and it's been seen around waterways and that sort of stuff.
So that's interesting, because that will be a connection with the ropen, because the ropen is seen around the beach and the island areas and will probably hunt fish.
Yes, 100%. We talked about its name. The Ahool bat comes from its sound, and we'll go into that in a second. Basically, it's thought to live up around the cave areas, and for obvious reasons, right? It's a giant bat-like creature, or an owl potentially. It's either going to live in the trees or it's going to live in the caves. And being it's a volcanic area, there'll be a bucket load of caves up around those mountaintops and stuff. Basically, its body is said to be around about it's meant to have a 3 to 4 meter wingspan, which sits around about 12 foot. And a meter tall body. So really long body, basically that of a 1-year-old child, if you can imagine that. It's said to be covered in grey fur, and again, lots of different sightings and lots of different ideas around it. But the creature is said to be covered in grey fur and has large flat forearms supporting its enormous wings, which makes sense. And its face is said to be primate human features, so a monkey type of face. It doesn't have that big snout that the Otelu has, or the fruit bats have the big long kind of fox nose. It's said to have this big flat monkey face. The other thing that it's said to have is its feet are supposed to point backwards, and that's something that's come up in a lot of the sightings and encounters from the locals, saying this giant bat, its feet point backwards. And that's really important for validating these sightings, because that's a real thing. When you look at bats, they hold backwards so that their toes are facing you versus facing this way. So their feet point back when they fly, or point backwards when they fly. Basically, some researchers say that the Ahool bat is actually a nocturnal bat, which, would make sense. It hunts at nighttime, it flies at nighttime or dusk, as the sun's coming down. And given with the heat, and you'd know about that, Julie, and be able to attest that, a lot of animals stop working or running around in the heat, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's, we had this discussion the other day about a lot of them are burrowing, or they're hiding in thick brush, or they're hiding in trees. The heat here is like so intense. So that's the only way that they can escape it. So they're trying to find those cooler areas.
Yeah, and that makes sense, because you're talking like huge amounts of heat over in Indonesia as well, 45 degrees upwards. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but that's hundreds, I think, up there. In the hundreds as far as Fahrenheit goes. So there's not a lot of sightings from Westerners, but I do have a really solid one, and it's from a guy called Ivan Sanderson, who is the founder, or the daddy-o, of cryptozoology. And he essentially went to Java and had the first sightings and encounters from Westerners of this Ahool bat, which is really, really cool. And if you haven't watched the Lost Monster Files, that TV show is all about Ivan Sanderson. So go and watch it. It's on Discovery Plus now, I think. You can go and watch it via YouTube or any of the other streaming services that you've got. And it's all about Ivan Sanderson, what he's done as far as his case files go over a 30-year process all over the world. So jump into the Lost Monster Files. Good plug there, eh? Did you like that?
I think she was saying the final episode's coming up. So we have yet to still see the first episode, because hopefully, I think end of November, we might be able to get it here. So that would be really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying hard to watch it. So if you've watched it, please share it. We need a second season. It's such an important TV show to support cryptozoology and kind of what we all do as well. So big flow on effects from that one. So I jumped on a website by a guy called Carl Schuker. He's a cryptozoologist and an animal researcher. And if you don't know who he is, you should definitely go and follow his stuff, follow his research, jump onto his website, carlschuker.blogspot.com. It's pretty easy to find. He's got some really great information on there, very in-depth research that he's done. So what I wanted to do is just read a wee little bit from his website in regards to the initial story from Mr. Sanderson himself. Yeah.
Is there a picture to put up?
Oh, God, probably. He asks a lot of me.
Well, you're lagging behind, so.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, you're still lagging, so it'd be better with a picture. Get rid of our faces.
What do you mean you don't like our faces? Susie says the final episode is on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah. Yes, of Lost Monster Files. So definitely go watch him.
Cool.
Right
yeah,
on.
There you go. There's the hammerhead bat.
Yeah. So this is not what they believe the Ahool bat is. However, this is a guy that they believe is also flying around in Cameroon. So let's just chuck him up for a second so that you can have a wee look at him. He's bloody cute.
He's bloody cute.
Right on. So this is Ivan Sanderson's story, okay? So one of the most interesting encounters with an Ahool bat comes not from an eyewitness, but rather an ear witness, whose testimony was first documented by American cryptozoologist Ivan T. Sanderson in a number of publications. So it was actually the son of a zoologist, an eminent zoologist, naturalist, Dr. Ernest Bartels, had spent much of his early life in Java, so his son, and was well acquainted with the cries of the island's fauna. He was also familiar with the local Sudanese testimonies concerning the Ahool, but had remained really skeptical until one evening in 1927. So at around 11:30 p.m., Dr. Bartels had been lying awake in bed inside his thatched house near Western Java's, Tijinkul River.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I believe you.
Oh, sure, yeah. Listening to the nocturnal insects orchestra of noises, when suddenly from directly overhead he heard a single loud, clear cry, "Ahool!" Maybe like that. I'm not sure if it was like that, but I imagine it was. A few moments later, he heard it again, but further away now. Immediately, he jumped out of bed. He grabbed his torch and all of his bits and pieces. He rushed outside in the direction of the cry, where he heard it again, but it was for the third and final time floating back to him from a considerable distance downstream. So obviously, this thing had flown over the top of him, massively flown away really quickly, and had done this triple cry. And he was just like standing in awe going, "Holy moly, oh my God." So that was one of the sightings I put in quotation marks. It was not so much of a sighting, but more of an
audio witness. Yeah.
And that was, obviously he's heard a lot of stories from the locals and that sort of stuff, talking about what they had seen in regards to the description of these bats flying around with their feet facing backwards, with the ape-like face and all that sort of stuff, and its body as big as a 1-year-old child, which I think is I think that's a really great way of describing the sizing, right? It really kind of gives you that sort of idea of what this thing could look like and how big it could be. So this is a picture of a ghost face bat, and this is probably its closest connection, or something that looks the closest to what they described as far as its squished face goes. It kind of looks more primate. It looks like it's got a squished face versus that kind of the fruit bat
The
with
fruit
the
bat.
long nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of that was the one connection that I could kind of make between that. But also there was another connection as far as Cameroon goes, and let me just read this one to you and then tell me what you think. Okay. So a mystery bat of equally dramatic dimensions, i.e. that 12-foot wingspan, has also been encountered in Cameroon, West Africa, and by two very experienced scientific observers while participating in the famous Percy Sladen expedition of 1932, which came up with a hell of a lot of research. The Ivan Sanderson and fellow animal collector Gerald Russell had been wading down a stream in Cameroon's Asambo Mountains one evening in search of tortoises to collect, when abruptly a jet black creature with enormous wings and a flattened monkey-like face flew out of the darkness and directly towards Sanderson. Its lower jaw was hanging down and it was revealing a bucket load of large white teeth that he could see. So obviously it wasn't far away or far enough away for him not to
it was close enough to see his teeth. Yeah.
So Sanderson instinctively ducked. Fair cool. Then he and Russell fired a number of shots in the direction of this terrifying apparition, but it merely wheeled out of range and vanished back into the darkness, its wings cutting through the air with a loud hissing sound. So every time its wings went, they heard this hissing sound.
Yeah, of its wings.
The two men agreed that its wingspan was at least 12 feet, and it seemed to have had been jet black in color. And when they told the local hunters back at their camp what had happened, the hunters were all terrified so much that they decided that they would stay in the camp the night, and then they all fled and left and went home, because they called this the Olutio, which is basically what they see as the hammerhead giant bat. They're petrified of it, and it sounds like it's been around for a really long time. And so I don't know what you think in regards to that. Like, are they talking a pterodactyl?
Yeah, wow, that's pretty. I mean, was it close enough for them to kind of see that it had like bat wings, or were they solid? You know what I mean? But again, I suppose the pterodactyls have that same kind of leathery
right?
style, isn't it? Yeah.
And so as I was kind of going through this, all I could think about was the ropin, the flying little, or pterodactyls in Papua New Guinea. I was like, kept popping back to the Van Meter monster, the Van Meter visitor.
They did say it had a flat face, though, didn't it? Is that what it said? Its face flat.
So it
hasn't got that beak. It hasn't got that beak as such. Yeah.
100%. So you're talking about the Java Ahool bat with this flat kind of primate monkey looking face, and the same in Cameroon and in America.
Wow. That's pretty insane.
In America,
because I mean, that's it. You look at the hammerhead bat, and they've got that massive, like almost like a horse nose kind of face, don't they? So they've got that very long face. So, and I know that hammerhead bat has been put up as a possible thing that Mothman could be as well. Is it a hammerhead? But they're completely different looking. Yes, they are absolutely enormous, but they're completely looking. You could tell the difference between a flat face kind of bird looking thing or owl looking thing and a horse face. You know what I mean? That's more like the Jersey Devil kind of looking thing, isn't it? With the horse head and that kind of.
That was the first thing that I thought of when I heard about the Jersey Devil story. I was like, well, obviously it's this, it's this bat. And that looks far more of a connection than this.
Then that, absolutely, but definitely that connection to like the ropin and stuff like that, isn't it? That's really.
But even the ropin, yes, it has bat-like wings and that sort of stuff. The head is different, right?
Different,
the ropin is a pterodactyl. It has this top notch and that sort of stuff. So even
look at the pterodactyls and stuff like all those birds, those prehistoric birds. There's so many different types of them. So many different, shapes to the head, to the cones. Some have them, some don't. Shape of the wings, and how long the beak is, and all that kind of stuff. So, and think of it, if it had still been around, it has evolved, so it would have changed quite a lot from
100%.
from 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago. So really interesting.
I think we're desperately, I don't know, as Western populations, we're desperately trying to box these things in and say, well, it must be this, and I've got the lineage here, and this is where it's come from. There's so many things and creatures that are being discovered that we just don't know. I mean, all you got to do is look in the oceans of how many new marine discoveries have been made, especially like, off the coast of Chile, and they've found, 100 new species of, spaghetti octopus and all these, exciting new discoveries that we've just made in the last kind of month.
Oh, same as the Amazon. Every year there's hundreds of new, even though if it's like bugs or spiders or something like that, but there's always mammals that are being found. New monkeys, like how many years ago did they find that black clouded jaguar, and they've had pink dolphins and, all this kind of stuff. So, there are these really huge animals that just have not been found yet. Or, if people do see them, they just probably think, oh yeah, it's just part of the local, unless you're a kind of a native or something, they'll be like, oh, that's strange. But the rest will be like, oh, it must be a local. I wonder how many times that's happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I found it really interesting, but there was definite connections between giant bat species, and giant bat species only get to 4 foot maybe.
Yeah. Well, some of them have been known to get bigger, though. That's the thing. That they have been known to get bigger.
No, not really.
Prehistoric, though.
Not really. Yeah, there's a certain size that these bats that we have now that they're growing to, and even I looked right back through prehistoric, back through those generations into kind of prehistoric times, or the skeletons and the fossils that they've found. And they're even not giant, like giant quotation marks.
Not giant. I suppose because, if they're living in those bats and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? She's got some tacos going on. Yeah, if they're living in the, if they're living, that's their thing. That's the main thing. They're living in caves and stuff, so they can't get that big. It's probably. That kind of stuff.
But
imagine walking into that and finding 3-foot bats everywhere. You're like, shit.
I found the giant bat.
Get out here.
Run away. Oh God, it's just like Jim Carrey in what's the movie that he played in, Ace Ventura, and he was like, Guano, bat poo, can't handle. Oh, I love it. It's so good. But I have one more little connection around the Ahool bat. The other connection I have is the Ahool bat, being that he's got a monkey face. He looks similar to Mothman. Can we just throw that out there? And it's now been theorized that bats actually have a gray kind of fuzzy fur over their wings to help with humidity. Just putting that over there. Okay, wee little Mothman connection there that I think could hold some sort of validity. I don't know, maybe. But I might be pulling at straws. But there is a connection between the Ahool bat and a bat-like creature that was seen and documented in New Zealand. And I bet you don't know about it, Jules.
Okay, tell me. Got a picture?
Nah. That was a long time ago. So
long time.
There was a story, and there's probably other stories if I went and talked to some of the Māori elders, but there was a story documented as part of a government website that talks about the legends and the stories and that sort of stuff from Māori tribes to try and, look after it and keep it safe and all that sort of stuff. And there was a story about the warriors of this tribe going down to this cave that they knew this giant bat lived in, and going to kill it because this bat was stealing children and killing their warriors, killing their people.
Ooh.
Yes, it comes under lots of different Maori names. You know, like there's so many different tribes that have and iwis that have different names for it, and it crosses over into names that we use as Bigfoot in New Zealand as well. So I didn't want to go down the name track of trying to give this a label, because there's so many different versions of it, and people might tell me that I'm using the wrong name, and I probably will be to them. But so I believe this was in around the Waikato in the middle of New Zealand, where it's quite volcanic, quite
where
cavey,
I grew up.
that sort of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so this is what how the story goes, is that they were having numerous encounters and issues with this giant bat. And it was huge. It was 12 foot across. It was massive, this giant winged bat creature. They didn't talk about having the top notch or being a pterodactyl of sorts. It was a giant bat that came and picked up their warriors and their people and ate them and ripped them to pieces.
Wow.
And it's pretty well documented as far as their stories go. And we know, as far as indigenous stories go and the locals go, they don't make stories up. They say what they've done and what happened, because it's a historic account. And we've been told that numerous times. And so when I read that story, I just went, I wonder if it's the same sort of thing. Because there are stories of the Ahool bat picking up children and teenagers and taking them away.
In Indonesia and stuff like that, and some of the other places, taking children,
children and teenagers, so bigger than just babies or whatever.
That's scary, but wow, that's really interesting. So one ended up over in New Zealand. So I wonder if that was like an accidental flyover. It's like New Zealand's really funny. If the tides are wrong or the winds are wrong, we end up with the most random animals which are not native to New Zealand, and they end up on New Zealand beaches, or they end up in our bush, and people are like, what is that? Where did that come from? Basically to do with the tides or the wind and and the weather and stuff like that. So and really if they're if it was, you think about it, the young males and stuff get kicked out. So if there's like quite a large population, then this thing will probably be island hopping, and really if you're island hopping, we're not that far away. I mean, we're a bit further away, but if you've kind of come down.
Well, if you've got a 12-foot wingspan, a couple of flaps and you're, So pretty crazy, Pretty crazy. And the other thing, just to add this in, and I this is pretty way out west, my connection in my brain is the story of Nan Madol. So if you don't know Nan Madol, go and look it up. NANMADOL. It's a megalithic structure in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and Oceania, down here, South Pacific. It's in Micronesia, I think, up the top there, around kind of Solomon Islands and that sort of area. And it's essentially these giant basalt formations, logs, if you will, of basalt that have been built like a log cabins on top of a coral reef, right? They were built at least 1,000 years ago, if not longer. And the story goes by the locals was that two princes came over. They were brothers, and to build Nan Madol, they turned into giant birds or bats, flew over to the volcanic islands, grabbed these basalt logs and flew them back and built them.
Maybe it was the Ahool bat.
I don't know. I'm just thinking to myself, do we, were these, we talked about, gods and hybridization, all that sort of stuff. Did they have control over animals?
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
I'm just thinking, versus them turning into a bat or a whatever, did they just commission it and say, off you go?
Yeah, go get him.
Here's your project, dude.
All right, I'm
Anyway.
going to move on because I have to go soon. Right,
Yeah.
so I'm going to quickly get on. I'm going to give you an image of the Mothman. So pretty much, I'm sure most people here will know this is a whimsical picture of the Mothman. Most people know who the Mothman is. Okay, so now I want you to remember these dates. So back to like nearly 60 years ago, Point Pleasant, right? West Virginia on the border, close to the border of Ohio. November 15th, 1966 was when the first Mothman was sighted, okay, in America. All right. So the man-sized bird-like creature, some say bird-like, some say moth-like. So it's, so it kind of goes in between. So that's what I find interesting. Some say it's kind of more moth-like, some more bird-like. So remember the bird-like thing too. So it was seen in the city around midnight. It was described man with wings, and it was airborne following this couple in their car. And they insisted they hadn't been drinking. Which I find funny. And it was flying about 100 miles an hour. So, that's pretty, and then we talk about them island hopping. That just gives you a really good idea of how fast these things can go. So he's described as bipedal, humanoid, moth-like creature, always those red glowing eyes, and can stand around 6 to 7 foot tall with a 10-foot wingspan.
Ooh.
Okay, so we are all pretty we're all kind of pretty up there with the Mothman. So here's the Mothman statue. We all know this, and people put coins in his little butt cheeks, which I just think that's hilarious.
Mike says the shiny hiney.
The shiny hiney, yeah, the shiny hiney.
West Virginia.
In West Virginia. So he was only seen for about a 13-month period. People seem to think that he was seen all the time, but he was kind of sighted in this 30-month period between 1966 and to 1967, which supposedly ended after the disastrous collapse of the Silver Bridge. So, which linked West Virginia and Ohio. So that was December 1967. And apparently after that, he disappeared, right? So that was it. So 1966. More recent sightings in the state have been Chicago, with 55 sightings recorded in 2017.
Really?
Yeah, there was a big thing about him being seen in Chicago.
Well, I heard that he was seen there, but I didn't realize there was 55 sightings.
Yeah, like at the airport and by pilots and stuff like that. So I haven't really gone into that because I kind of wanted to focus on a couple of other ones. There is a Mothman sighting in Melbourne. So this was early 2000. So in the city of Melbourne, a local resident claimed to have seen a creature with large wings and red glowing eyes flying over the city. He said that the creature seemed to be watching him as he walked home from work. So basically it was following him from building to building. He said it had a humanoid body, large wings, glowing red eyes. And then basically after he kind of looked into it, he said it was similar to the Mothman of Point Pleasant. So since then there have been several other reported sightings around Australia, but around all around the country, but most of them have occurred in like rural areas and in the outback and stuff. And these reports have come from like farmers and people like that, and these people are not, they're not going to tell you a bullshit story basically. It's like, this is what I saw. This was on my farmland. I don't know how else to explain it. These people are just not going to do that. They don't get anything out of it. It just makes a mockery out of them with their neighbors. So there's a lot of
they're pretty straight up and down.
They're pretty straight up and down. Yeah. So, but they have still been seen flying over the cities. Okay, so they put it down to being an unknown or undiscovered bird, while other people are saying, oh, it's probably a cryptid or a supernatural being.
Sure,
and that's it. A lot of Mothman sightings have been put down to hoaxes, misidentification. We have giant cranes here as well. And for, we're a very multicultural country here. So if they're coming over and possibly seeing some of these animals here, and not seeing them, seeing them for the first time, it could be a misidentification. So that was like a brief run through. So what I want to do now is run you through England.
So we're going around the world today.
We are going around the world today because this, out of everything, I thought was kind of really interesting. So this is the Owlman of Cornwall in England. Now look at the similarities. Very, very interesting. Okay.
Look at that pose.
Look at that pose. He's got that sexy pose going on. He's a little bit fluffier.
That's lovely, isn't it?
So there are similar sightings recorded in England. The Owlman is the name given to the large owl-like humanoid entity, very similar to the Mothman. It is said to live in Cornwall, England, and has been sighted several times. It is sometimes seen as the English counterpart of Mothman due to the similarities because of the red glowing eyes, the wingspan, and the humanoid body. Right? Yeah. So has that come up on Instagram?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, all right. So he's a little bit pretty, that one. So now I'm going to show you this one. So this is in the Cornish Echo newspaper. So again, this is kind of like southern England. So this picture, now think of these dates. So when was Mothman seen? 1966. This drawing was done in 1926.
No shit.
So it was reported that 2 boys had been chased by what was described as a very large and ferocious bird or bat. The terrified boys managed to escape and took cover behind a large steel grating. If this had been the only sighting of the strange creature, it could have been put down to an overactive imagination, but it was only the first of several appearances of this half-man, half-bird, which eventually became known as the Owlman. So look at this creature. This is 1926.
Oh, wow. Isn't he just exactly what Mothman
is? Yeah. Yeah. So how crazy is that?
Oh, great find.
Yeah. So, and now here's another one. This is another drawing that was done. Nope. Did I just put on the wrong one? Hang on. Here we are.
Great connections, man.
Yeah. The Cornwall. Okay. So, that's the Manor one. Okay. So, the other one's gone. Damn it. Okay, so there was another one that was very, very similar. Okay, so this was at the family. So this is the next reported sighting came 50 years later in 1976 around the same area. A family was spending their Easter holiday in Cornwall from Preston in Lancashire. The 2 young daughters, June and Vicky Melling, 12 and 9, had been camping in the woods nearby with the family when they heard strange hissing sounds. They described an abnormally large bird resembling a giant owl flying over the tower of the 13th century parish church in Mornan. There we go. I found the image. Here we go. In Mornan.
Really Mornan.
Yeah. They said it had red eyes and strange claws shaped like 2 blacksmith pinchers. The family was so frightened by the encounter that they cut the family holiday short by 3 days. This is the sketch that the father gave to the basically to the papers. So can you see that?
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what did they say? It had pincers like claws.
Yeah, like blacksmith pinchers. That's what these, because this is kind of, they're trying to say what these girls would kind of be used to. So that's what they're saying. They were kind of like pinchers.
And on the other picture in 1929 or whenever it was made, look at the feet.
Yeah, they had the
look like
pinchers.
pincers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, cool
yeah.
connection, man.
So
And there's the red eye. Yeah.
and the red glowing eyes. So, the wingspan and all of that kind of stuff. They were like, it was just giant. It was huge. And then 2 years later, there's no picture for this one, but it was in the paper. There was another sighting 2 years later. The first witness thought that someone was playing a trick on them. That was a person dressed up in a costume, and they described it as an abnormally large bird that was silver and gray in color. So again, glowing eyes and all the rest of it. So, and the most recent sighting in England is 2009.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's modern. Yeah.
Yeah, modern. So I just found it really interesting that, this, the one in Cornish, 1926. So, because people do talk about Mothman being seen around the world, the harbinger of doom and all this kind of stuff. So I'm just putting the Cornish, the Cornish picture back on. So so this was drawn in 1926. So really, really interesting. It's I just find it quite fascinating. I mean, because people have talked about also that the Owlman was seen before Hiroshima and other big kind of disasters and stuff around the world. All kind of man-made disasters, I might add.
Yes, I think that's the connection, isn't it?
That's the connection. It's man-made disasters, basically. Yeah. So, really, really interesting. But then also, people have, like they've been seen in Melbourne and, and around the world, but there haven't been any disasters. So is it just basically, are there kind of different types, or is it just,
And I guess that's what brings the supernatural side to the idea of Mothman, especially, right? Is because he was seen around these major disaster sites.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, far out, man. And I love the fact that you've brought this to the table, because one of the excuses the narratives that the government uses is it was just this mass hallucination that everyone had.
Everything has mass hallucinations.
And everyone just had a mass hallucination that they all saw this Mothman landing in their garden. Like they were having visions and dreams, and he was in their dream, all this sort of stuff, because it was just a mass hallucination. But when you then can pinpoint, in fact, we have got other sightings of things that could very well be connected to something like this. It takes the supernatural out of it somewhat and puts that kind of that zoology into it, right? It becomes potentially a real creature that somebody could find. So,
and I mean, look at England compared to America, compared to the islands. That it's like a triangle almost, isn't it? We're so far away from each one. So it's really, I find that really, really interesting. Because I could have gone more into like Chicago and sightings around Melbourne and stuff, but to bring England to 1926, man, and to have a drawing that was put in the local newspaper. I'm like, there you go. That's
yeah, absolutely. And I think the one thing is, it's so hard to find that information, right? It takes hours trawling through stuff to try and find this. And so when you get to make these sort of connections where you go, Mothman could very well be Owlman, could very well be the Ahool bat, and then have something like that in New Zealand as well, a little bit further down.
It's like that species connection, it's
Yeah, wow, that's so cool. Well done, you. Taking it out of the park, girl. Oh, that's so cool. And obviously, Mothman is such a big part of the supernatural community and the paranormal community and stuff like
culture. Oh my gosh,
yeah. And he's got a beautiful bottom. And if you haven't seen the Mothman statue in all of its glory, you really got to go Google search that puppy up because he is a delightful.
I should have done one of his butt.
Yeah. He's got, I don't know if you can zoom in there, he's got a 6-pack. I'm just putting up a picture real quick here. He's got a 6-pack.
Oh, yeah, that 6-pack.
He does have a wonderful hiney, and people go and kiss it quite often and rub it, and just for good luck. So if you ever go to West Virginia in America, you should definitely go down to Point Pleasant
and kiss the hiney of Mothman. Like, who needs a lucky Buddha now? You go, no, I've got my Mothman. There should be like little Mothman statues going out. We can just rub his hiney. There you go. I've just patterned something for you. Somebody go make it. I'll buy one.
Hey, Bullseye222 on Instagram says he's got Cardi B energy on the backside.
Spank that.
I tell you what, we're going to get arrested for sure when we go to America. Like, they'll be like, stop accosting that statue.
Oh, far out. Hey, listen, guys, I have to go. I have to go to work. This has been fun. I love Mothman. I know it's all I do at the moment is work. Next year, not so much work because man, it's
for real. And like Juliet said, we are working so hard in the background. We have got the wheels are turning so that we can try and get this to a point where we're doing it full time and we're bringing you heaps of content and we're on your screens all day, every day, and all.
And then we'll just be traveling and living all over the world.
Yeah, coming to see us, kissing little silver bottoms.
Wherever we go, we'll just take a little cast of it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's other bottoms we can kiss.
Yeah. Lisa! I'm going to carry on you.
Stop it. I'm not kissing anyone's ass. Stop it. This is definitely going to get us removed, okay?
Hey, well, this is no... Oh, damn it, you did mention a phallus, didn't you?
Yeah. We've talked about all the things we weren't meant to talk about, so, we'll see. Hey, let's just throw out a big, we love you all. Thank you so much, everyone on Instagram, everyone over on YouTube joining us. Please feel free to share with the world. We love you all. Thank you so much for supporting us. And next week, same bat time, same bat channel, we'll be talking about Hodag versus something. Oh, a bunyip. Oh my God. Okay.
I don't know. I'm not here. I don't care. I'm out of here. I'm going to be sitting drinking tea by the by the pyramid. So
she may come and drop some content.
I may join you at midnight, but I could be in bed and it could be dark. So I'm like,
so please come and support me all by myself. Bring yourself, bring your friends, so that it just makes me feel a little bit more loved.
And please make fun of her because I'm not here to do it.
Rude. Thanks, Totem Tilly over on Instagram. We love you too, and we'll see you next week. And big love to everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
See y'all next week. Bye. Good luck, Juliet, for her trip. Have a great time.